rising Venus signs and cross watchers, welcome to your timeless path of true love reading. I am your reader, Mark Angelo, Lyons, Mal for short, professional witch, professional intuitive, president of Drawing the Circle Productions since 1998, author of Words of Grace from a Professional Witch, available on Kindle. Link in the description box. Creator on Patreon, patreon.com/drawingthecircle. I'm the Archangel of Lyons, Mark Angelo Lyons, but you can call me Mal. Hey, Sagittariuses. I hope you are all doing well. If you are new to my channel or new to these readings, there is a video in the description box, a video here on YouTube, a link you can click, a preface to the Path of True Love reads, why I do the Celtic Cross, what the positions are, and talking a bit about the Path of True Love in general. Lots of links down there talking about the Path of True Love, twin flame soulmates, and all that jazz. But essentially, thumbnail, gonna Reader's Digest version it. The Path of True Love is your healing path, your hero's journey, your spiritual path, your learning curve, your incarnational cycle of embodiments and soul contracts seen through your relationships, right? So sometimes it's romantic, sexual, sometimes it's not. Doesn't matter. Every character that crosses your path on the Path of True Love is about you becoming the true love that we all are at our core. The one, the unity manifested in an individualized unit of consciousness, spiritual awakening, all of that. Sounds like fun. It's not always. And that's why we're doing a Celtic Cross, to get you a GPS point of view. There is an extended for this on Vimeo pay-per-view, or if you like, go check out my Patreon, because all subscribers have access to all of my timeless extended readings, past, present, and future. So I got a couple of years on there. Been doing this for a while, so doesn't matter when you watch it. The spreads are different. My hair is different, but if you want to do it, you have access to all of them there, even on the lowest, least expensive tier. Cool. So I guess that's about it. It's a general read. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. Check your other signs to get maybe another person crossing your path on true love, because one could be a family member, one could be a coworker, one could be a lover, one could be a friend, who knows? But as a general read, only you can know that. So both feet on the floor if you can. Focus on your breath if you will. I will breathe along with you to get you the clarity, guidance, and grace on the path of true love. And I know what's going on planet Earth, at least at the time of this recording, in early March 2022 with the Ukraine situation. We need more love on the planet. So you do you, as you bring that love that is divine power, heart chakra chapter, anatomy of the spirit, Carolyn Mace, then you are helping to heal the world. Yeah. Bringing more love to the planet. Let's see what hits the table. Had to take it up a notch, down a notch, and then back up a notch. Please take a nice deep breath. Here we go. Using the Caroline Mace archetype cards, I call upon the collective pantheons of the divine, the guides, the angels, the archangels, the goddesses, the gods, the ascended masters of the path of true love, and the higher selves of all involved. 5th dimension and above, 8th chakra and above, for the Sagittarian collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs and cross watchers. First two cards down are going to set the skeleton for the Celtic Cross. So first, I need the 8th chakra archetype. One for the person who is in the cover, one for the one crossing their path. It's a general reading that can go back and forth, and of course there's also a high probability of mirroring. Only they can know which is really theirs, though they may relate to both. So please, the 8th chakra in the Sagittarius collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign, path of true love. Oh, you want me to do them both face down first? Okay, you do like a reveal. And the one crossing their path, either one could be the Sag, either one could be the Crosswatcher. This is in the title. Let's see how brave you are. A beggar and a student. Well, I could see someone seeing the word beggar and going, oh, and that's fine. But I will tell you this about an archetype. if it's an always or a never, it's like, oh my god, I'm always like that, or oh, I'm never like that. Like that kind of energy. You have the archetype for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And they all exist in the collective unconscious. So we all have access to them. Right? So the Beggar, I believe, is either wild card. I think it's either wild card or the action family archetype. There are 9 different families. The Student is certainly a wisdom family archetype. So this could certainly be romantic sexual. That's the thing with archetypes. These can manifest themselves in so many different ways. But if you just go straight on with what you think you know about the word, you can miss a lot of the fine lines and details. So I'm going to read you the shadow attribute and the light attribute. This is what needs to be healed within this person, right? This is what they're shooting for in terms of that healing. The same goes here, right? So the Beggar archetype, the shadow attribute, dependence on others to the exclusion of effort. And that exclusion of effort is so key. Like if someone's really doing their best, then we all have to help each other through this world. No man is an island. I don't remember who said it. I just remember hearing it a lot as a kid. The light attribute confronts empowerment at the level of physical survival, awakens the spiritual authority of humility, compassion, and self-esteem. And humility is the first grace and the last grace that I talk about in my book, Words of Grace, because that is my saving grace. The humility to know that I do not know, but I'm willing to be shown that I have begged the gods. I have begged the guides. And, you know, it's so funny. They're like, it's all around you. Everything you need is here. You're just not seeing it. So the humility to know that I do not know, the compassion for myself and others, and self-esteem as a verb to know, yeah, it's a fucking learning curve. I'm doing my best. Right? That's a good taste of what you might be shooting for here if that's you. The Student archetype, the shadow attribute, arrogance in the pursuit of destructive knowledge. Now I'll tell you right off the bat, I'm a horrible student. I'm a brilliant teacher. I'm an autodidact, so I can teach myself pretty much just about anything I have to really want to learn, right? But I will tell you, study the dark arts, right? There you go. Arrogance in the pursuit of destructive knowledge. I haven't touched that for sure. But, you know, it's just like how poison becomes medicine, right? It's like you got to know what's going on. Destructive knowledge. Unwillingness to translate knowledge into action is more what we see. And we call that in my family a forever student. It's like you've been in school, high school, college programs your entire life. Get a job, right? That's my family for sure. The light attribute, humility and devotion to knowledge, opening to lifelong learning. I'm going to call that an archetypal double whammy. You both got the word humility on here. So to say, all right, yeah, no, I'm open to lifelong learning, right? Humility and a devotion to knowledge. Interesting. Let's Celtic Cross this. The Daughters of the Moon Tarot is going to do the next 4 chakras down. The crown chakra, the third eye, the heart. This is the internal world, the feminine energy, the yin dynamic, which the 8th chakra affects really big. The 8th chakra determines the program that all the other chakras are dealing with. It affects your electromagnetic. It's the cause of the effect of your electromagnetic field. In other words, what you attract, feminine, what you repel, masculine, right? Electromagnetic, right? Or electromagnetic forces. You can scrub a chakra all you want. You do it in the 8th, right? So let's see what hits the table. We'll call them out one at a time. Face up. Please take a nice deep breath. As I call upon my goddesses of fire, the sign of Sagittarius, and powers of the south, please, 10 card Celtic Cross, one at a time, face up for this Sagittarian collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign, Path of True Love reading involving this Beggar and this Student in relation to each other. What's the heart, third eye crown for the Beggar? The Taurus card, the mother of Pentacles, which is the Queen of Pentacles in traditional tarot, the Great Corn Mother. All right, sort of, I guess, the indigenous people of America's Demeter, kind of, sort of. Not Gaia. All right, Gaia is the whole planet. She's the lava and all of that. But the topsoil, right? The feeding, the fixed earth, and yes, bedrock to an extent. Moon's in Taurus at the time I'm doing this right now. It is about second house life values. When it's a court card on the inside, certainly if you have any planets in Taurus, adjust that. Look at that. There's a hint there if that's true. If not, it is about this beggar really working with their life values, the bedrock things that they value in their life. And self-esteem is on this card. Estimation, what do you estimate something for? Its value. You can take a piece of jewelry to have it appraised, and they could tell you, well, the metal's made of this, and the stone is this, and you're like, yeah, how much? What is it worth, right? And we're always doing that, either consciously or subconsciously. We are evaluating ourselves. So we see a beggar here. Someone with the beggar archetype is the better way to say it, but during a reading, I don't always say it that way, but that's what I mean. The one with the beggar archetype is really in a place of internal evaluation, but when it's an earth sign, it's about the wisdom that they've gained. That kind of wisdom, like if you've ever lived through adversity, and pick your form, right? Physical, emotional, mental, spiritual adversity, all of it, all at once, dark night of the soul terrain, and you lived through it. There's wisdom there that can never be taken from you no matter what is going on outside. You survived it, right? Confronts empowerment at the level of physical survival, so you're still here, if that's you. So you've got some wisdom there. You've got some bedrock that cannot be taken from you. The student, my goddesses, please, what's going on? Heart, throat, third eye, crown in this read. The Witch, the Magician card, the first card of the Major Arcana, because the Fool is 0. It has no number, so it can't be the first, right? The Witch, this is the alignment of fire, earth, air, water, and spirit. It's all the chakras in aligning, drawing down the inspiration of spirit, acknowledging it, right? Fine-tuning it with the mind, the fire of the choices, the throat chakra that we make, to bring it into the emotional field, the element of water, manifesting it, taking action, as that may be, into form, physical earth. This is all about this student really being in having everything that they need, but making a decision. It is the first card to initiate, right? It's not really a spell until you cast it, right? It's all up here, and it may be in pieces physically, but you put it all together, you plug it in, you're off and running. So I like that. I mean, and you got a wisdom archetype with the word witch card, and it means essentially wisdom and witch. It really is what the word means in my deepest resonance. So my goddesses, what's going on at the core here? The subconscious influences, which, you know, depending on who's intuitive, they may be aware of it, but that shared thing going on here on the path of true love with these two. And we've got the Fool card. Call the Fool and he shows up. In this case, the dreamer, a woman kind of leaning over a river bend, tracing patterns in the stream as it goes by, right? Dreaming, I would love, and that would be lovely, and I would love that. It's that leap of faith of at least engaging in it, in that space, that liminal space between the worlds of the World card and the Magician in traditional tarot. So you're both in a new beginning. If you don't know who this is yet, once it clicks into your head who this is about, you can kind of get that you're both in that place for faith leaping. And I've never said it that way before. I turned the leap of faith, a noun, into a verb for you, apparently, or my guides did. Faith leaping, that there is a dream here, that there is something calling you forward. I could see why the beggar would be evaluating, but the student's like, hey, I'm open. Right? If it's really in that light attribute for the student, it's like, no, we'll learn, we'll grow. I have, if you can both have humility to know that you don't know, and of course you don't know, you're on the edge of a cliff in a good way, I think. Path of true love. What's behind them? What gets them here? This beggar and this student with Taurus and the witch. Okay, Nine of Flames, the Nine of Wands. Yes, certainly a card of defensiveness, but can also be internal conservation to get there. Not quite at the 10. Over, we have a Romani woman here with her wagon, her caravan behind her, I'm sure. Just can't see her. Can't see him. Right? Got these 9 flames, and there's a sun either rising or setting over the horizon, and she's like, I gotta go there. I gotta just get there. I'll get there. And that's why often we see that image of that wounded guy with the wands. He's like, I'm almost there. I am almost there. You know what I mean? You're like, no, I'm in the last 9 yards of this thing. And certainly following through on a lot of their choices, their decisions. There's some drive here. Now, the card is called the Wanderer, so there may not be a specific so much as a general direction, right? Not a specific destination, but a journey. What's crowning this on the inner heart, third eye crown, please? In this path of true love read, hovering above this, right? Could come down into form, might be what that student's drawing down with the witch. 3 of Flames, loyalty, the word on the card. There is a prioritization here of what is important according to what is valued. The 3 of Wands, certainly you hear about waiting for your ships to come in, but you really only wait for the things that you agree to, right? There's certain things that can be delayed but not prevented. But in terms of relationships, you know, before the Wonder Woman movies came out, you have no idea how long I was waiting for Godot. So many people don't get that joke. Made my mom laugh, though. So, you know what I mean? It is that because I have a loyalty to Wonder Woman. She's perfect in that role. So, you know, what are you willing to wait for? Well, that's according to your values here. Where are you in that evaluation, so to speak? I always say it when this card comes up because I flashed it in my third eye. There's a book by Ian Van Zandt, In the Meantime. I think it came out in the early 2000s, or, you know, the late 90s, somewhere around there. And she talks about loyalty and priorities. And she says we are taught work first, then friends and family, then ourselves, and then the divine, God, what have you. And it does seem that way. She goes, flip it. The divine first, God first, is what she says. Then you, then friends and family, then work. And that makes sense. And that is sustainable because you tune in, right? So what are your priorities? What are you willing to wait for here? Because it's very throat chakra. We got 2 flame cards, wands, in a row there. So we're looking at willpower, heart, third eye crown, throat dominant. What lay before them on the path of true love, please, my goddesses? And here we've got the oppression card. Certainly flames on this card as well. And although nobody likes the devil card in this deck, it's a feminist deck, so they're not using patriarchal imagery so much. They take the devil card and split it into the coyote woman, the trickster, which may show up, we don't know yet, which is a goddess in a way, you know, absolutely, the coyote woman, the trickster, a way that we learn. This is the other half of it. This is very much the oppression card. It's what it's called on it. There's a woman buried under rocks, but the rocks have people's faces on them, right? So this is not, well, maybe it is literal oppression in a lot of cases. This can be codependency. This can be emotional weight. These can be the chains that bind. These can be the things that block us and hold us back, but inside of ourselves. Now, a major arcana card, when it's heart, throat, third eye, crown, is all 4 chakras, all of the heart, throat, third eye, and crown. So it kind of makes sense that with the Fool on the inner, at the core of this, and this evaluation of the 3 of Wands above, that it's going to bring up your fear. It's going to bring up the chains you weren't even aware of. Or maybe you are. The lead, the lies, illusions, deceptions, and delusions, the false premises, that we make, the stories we tell ourselves about the way things are that may not be true. Essentially, it is about looking at fear and unprocessed stuff holding you down, and that's why she's not covered with literal people. They're rocks, right? They're stones. They're pressing down on her, holding her down. This is the psychic weight of the relationships, perhaps from previous people, or maybe if you two have a history, it could be that too. But I think it might be shared if that is so. Because everybody, there's no such thing as one purely toxic person and one purely healthy person, unless, well, I don't know anybody who's a purely healthy person, except the Dalai Lama, but, I don't know him personally. Lovely cross, interesting cross. Let's look at the staff. 7th position, my goddesses, what is the lesson you would have them learn? What they call the negative influences are really just there as lessons and challenges. So what would you have them learn on the path of true love, heart, third eye, crown? Okay. This is where it gets tricky. 5 of Pentacles, the earthquake, shook. You're going to have to deal with being shook here. And it is going to be a thing of where things change very, very quickly. Earthquakes last 10 seconds. It's kind of a long earthquake. You'd be surprised. Count it out, and you'd be like, oh yeah, if everything, depending on Richter scale, right? Depending on how intense. Well, this can be really being shook up and really having your internal stuff in terms of what you've learned be rearranged really quickly. I know it's often called the ghosting card because of the Rider-Waite Tarot and many variations on that theme. But when it's internal, there's a lot of change going on inside of, and that's, well, and isn't that the message? The message is, how do you deal with change? Now, you're a Sagittarius, mutable fire, but this is probably hitting you. I'm not going to say not just, I'm going to say not just mentally, emotionally, but physiologically, right? You're shook. Nervous system stuff going on here. There may be aftershocks, so to speak. But that's a really good thing. I mean, it can be absolutely breaking up old patterns, right? Cellular memories, just kind of shaking them up, moving them to what? The 6 of Pentacles, right? Which is more about balance, and in this deck, pretty powerful too. Let's see if it hits the table. From the outside vibing in, how does the world kind of vibe this? What's the energy it's putting out on the horizontal trajectory for the Sagittarian collective? Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs, and cross watchers watching this video, receiving this reading. Lovely. The 8 of Pentacles, the learner. Digging it. The student. With the learner, a crone teaching a maiden how to weave a blanket, and on this side is an example of the blanket, the same idea of blanket that she has been doing since she was taught by a crone when she was a maiden. There is more wisdom coming. So even though your lesson is the 5, I think you've got the wisdom that you need inside of you, but we don't always access it. We're not always aware of it. Now, wouldn't it be interesting if this earthquake turns some things over inside of you and reveals a deeper wisdom of what you already had in there? You got to give yourself the humility of the learning curve. Grant me the grace of humility to know that everybody's on a learning curve, and if I want to give that to myself, I got to give that to everybody else. But that doesn't mean I have to like what they're doing. Every day is a winding road. We get a little bit closer. The crow is one of my spirit animals. I named her Cheryl. From this, we go to the 9th position. I think an incredibly important position in a Celtic Cross spread. Often called your hopes and fears. It's your destiny, your fate, and your destiny. You don't want to suffer your fate. You want to manifest your destiny, but your fate is what you can't change, and that's what you're afraid of. That's what we're all afraid of. You don't want to suffer your fate, but you can't escape it, but you can alchemize it from lead to gold, from fate to destiny. That's what the hero's journey is all about. Ask Luke Skywalker. or Heracles, or Dorothy Gale, or Harry Potter, or, you know, none of them had it easy. Not much of a hero's journey without villains, demons, and dragons along the way. And maybe even some dungeons if you're into that. Let's look at my goddesses. Where are they on the path of true love in terms of manifesting their destiny? Right? Their fate from their destiny. They're led to their goal. Where are they on the hero's journey? The High Priestess. Your spiritual power is key here. By the way, you've got the Fool. You've got the Magician here on the table, and you've got the High Priestess. You're pretty much doing a past, present, kind of higher point of view future in a way here. Of where you are in terms of the major arcana. There is a flow, there is a process, there is an alignment here. And considering that you are almost, in the past you were almost there, it makes sense that Wanderer brought you to this crossroads where now you know it's leap of faith time, taking the time to evaluate, really feeling and dealing with the chains that bind, it shaking you, you learning, but via your intuition and deep secrets, sacred knowledge. Now this is why this could easily be for the student or the beggar, but this is the virgin, the maiden card in this deck. Mawu is the Empress, the mother, and the Kaliek, the wise one, is the crone. It's a feminist deck, Maiden Mother Crone. Of course there's Maiden Mother Crone in there. So that is the Virgin Priestess, the untouched, the clear channel, right? But virgin meaning unowned, not except by the gods. Most beautiful woman in the world that no one can have because she's a vessel of the gods. She got a gig. So, you know, your intuition, very, you know, again, heart, third eye, crown all together when it's major arcana. But we are looking at here the witch as the often seen as the masculine energy, bringing something into form. And this is the secret, sacred, intuitive knowledge. So tune to that for sure, Z's. Last card of the Celtic Cross, and then we'll add 3 more cards to this, 2 Whispers of Love oracles, and a Macon healing mantra, because really all you need is the mantra, but it's got to make sense before you get there a little bit, right? Breathe. Alright, my goddesses of fire, the sign of Sagittarius, powers of the south. What is the most probable outcome to the timeline of this lifetime for the Sagittarian collective? Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs, and cross watchers on the path to true love in this beggar student contract. Heart, third eye, crown, 6 of Cups, called it, sorta. 6 of Cups. Digging it, right? So, well, what I said is you got this 5 of Pentacles being shook. Well, this is the compassion. This is the a woman laying on the beach with 5 of her sisters, her friends, her beloveds, right? Laying hands on her as the seaside, the lakeside, wherever they are, ebbs and flows. It's the equal give and take of energy. Can this be about nostalgia and a past life and all of that? Maybe. It's a general read, but I know you're going to come into an emotional balance in this, which is probably as a result, one would think, of, dealing with those fears, those chains that bind, getting shook and allowing yourself to be shook, because you can get, I have to go through this, right? Like if you drive, learning how to drive is one thing. Learning how to drive on the Long Island Expressway your first time, solo, right? Like you've done it with people in the car, right? And just read about the LIE. That's all I'm gonna, the big lie. There's a big lie, the Long Island Expressway. You know, this is an important learning curve for you. It is the path of true love. If it wasn't challenging, what's the point, right? You don't appreciate what doesn't challenge you. This is true. Like, if the true love of my life came and knocked on my door right now, I'd be like, suspicious. This is what I would be. This is exactly what it would be. but I am a Virgo. Let's go. Okay, the Whispers of Love Oracle, s'il vous plaît. We're getting one for the one with the Beggar archetype and one for the student archetype. Higher selves of all involved. Whispers of Love Oracle. Please take a nice deep breath. As I call upon the higher selves of all involved, 5th dimension and above, 8th chakra and above. What is the whisper of love for the one with the Beggar archetype and the one with the student archetype in this Sagittarian collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs watching this video? Cross watchers, right? This Path of True Love read. Because this Beggar, right, if the key word is humility here. Know that you don't know. It is about self-esteem and lifelong learning. These two could do amazing things together regardless of the form of the relationship. So please, one for the one with the Beggar archetype. We'll do them face down. I do like doing it that way. I do like a reveal. It's a wig, revealing to a wig. The student archetype with that witch in particular there. What's the whisper of love for these two in this timeless Path of True Love read? You got the Abba card. You have the Beggar. Take a chance on love. G with the Fool card right underneath it all. When we start to love, our lives are changed forever. But, you know, I can see the evaluation going on here. It's so interesting that a Beggar would have a card of life value inside of them because it really depends on whether, with self-esteem, they see their own value or not. Just take a chance on love, particularly if you've been hurt. You know, and of course, not just romantically, right? Where does that stuff start? Past lives, great. From when we separated from the divine and the illusion of separation. We never really did, just looks that way. Maybe, A Course in Miracles says that's where all of our pain comes from. But it usually comes from early childhood, right? And there is a baby being carried on the back of the Great Corn Mother here. So, you know, take a chance on love. When we start to love, our lives are changed forever. And that love can certainly be expressed and experienced inside. Expressed outside in compassionate ways with emotional balance. Take a chance on love. For the student, get to know each other, which is interesting because the word knowledge is in here, right? Get to know each other. Learning to meet another's need for love is important for a relationship to grow. So, if this is romantic, I mean, obviously the two of you have kind of just met, I would think, because we've got that wandering in the past there, and we've got that fool, the dreamer at the base of this. So this could be brand new. But if it is somebody that you've danced with before, like another round with a family member, do you know what I mean? It's like, oh, here we go again. Could be that too. So keep your mind open a little bit. Oh, well, because there's only one more card that's going to hit the table, the healing mantra, which sometimes makes it so specific. It's obvious. But in the extended on Vimeo and on Patreon, we're going to take the Mythic Tarot and lay 10 more cards on this, completing the chakras, lower 3 chakras, the masculine energy, right? The externals as well. We're going to do the Kuan Yin Oracle. We're going to use the Blue Angel Oracle, Archangel Michael, to get the feminine and the masculine all together as one. We're going to get a Lover's Oracle, simple timeline, past, present, future. Going to get a Divine Animals Oracle there to help you on the path, as spirit animals and totems often do. And then we're going to end it with a Blessed Be to find the hidden blessing in all of this. So get ready. If this is the last card down for you on this, it's gonna hit the table. I'm gonna read from the bookie book. I'm gonna bless it. I'm gonna give you the blessing, and then we'll chat a little bit at the end. Please take a nice deep breath. A lot of half and half this morning in my coffee, apparently. Breathe. Oh yeah, as I call upon the Ascended Masters of the Path of True Love, please, one card in clarity, make it specific, the perfect healing mantra for this Sagittarian collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign Path of True Love, this soul contract, regardless of its shape and form, because there's nothing here that screams maternal, paternal, family. It just seems very general, but the theme of certainly shadow work is there, of spiritual evolution is here, learning, humility, dominant here, compassion here as well. So please, what is the perfect healing mantra? Doesn't matter which one's watching this, that they can work to help them heal, learn, grow, evolve in this contract for the well-being of all on the path of true love in this timeless true love read. Integrating the ego, everything is for me, not against me. We could talk about that for a year. In fact, Course in Miracles has a workbook, 365 lessons. Everything is for me, not against me. This is why, if you've been watching stuff on my channel, human, hero, immortal, God, it is the basic structure of my tiers on Patreon, my subscribers on Patreon. Well, the human is the ego part of you, right? The hero is your personality. There's a difference between your ego and your personality. They're not the same thing. The immortal is the soul, and the God is the higher self, if you want to play it that way. Lots of different ways to look at it. It's just this archetypal lens with immense power in it. Well, integrating the ego doesn't want to hear that. What do you mean? Everything is for me? Well, what about that? What about that going to the past? What about that going on in the present? What about? It's allowed to do that. But the soul knows it's an immortal being that incarnated with contracts and relationships like a video game, right? You know, it's like they're just things built into the game that I'm going in to experience. I don't have to like that I'm experiencing it, because not liking it is part of being a human. You're allowed. You don't have to like everything, but you can integrate the ego. It's not about making the ego an enemy. No, it's the lead in the shadow archetype that we alchemize into gold. Lead has 3 more atoms than gold on the periodic table, right? So there's a transformation that has to take place, and this is part of that. I'm going to read from the bookie book. I highly recommend, particularly for pagans, and that's why, the Course in Miracles is triggery language for a lot of pagans, but if you can find the thread of truth in it, it really is more like Buddhism, I'm going to say. Integrating the ego, everything is for me, not against me. When your ego is integrated, there are no problems to fix or questions to answer. Helpful. There are just the aligned responses of the soul's reality, acknowledging life as fertile ground, Taurus, as fertile ground. Where'd you go? As fertile ground where greater expansion is revealed. As you integrate your ego, every moment can be seen to be conspiring for your highest evolution instead of plotting against you, which doesn't mean you get what you want. On a hero's journey, I mean, come on. It's not much of a story. It's not much of a story if, you know, day 1, Harry Potter goes to Hogwarts and, I don't know, Dumbledore dies. Not Dumbledore dies. I got my wizard screwed up, right? Voldemort. Oh, the one who must not be named. I got many people who must not be named, right? Just dies. First movie. No challenge. He gets hit by a bus. Whatever. Who knows? All the Horcruxes simultaneously explode. No. No. It is a journey of the soul integrating the ego. So it's not plotting against you. The universe is not plotting against us, but we're allowed to feel that way, but understand that's the ego that feels that way. This mantra is ideal for overcoming victimhood. With the beggar, I would think that would be part of that in there somewhere. Being more grateful and becoming more forgiving, which is what A Course in Miracles is really about. But if they called it A Course in Forgiveness, no one would read it. And it's quantum forgiveness, not Newtonian. Just saying. Let me put this together for you in a blessing. Let's see what comes out of my mouth. Please take a nice deep breath. Powerful read here. Good vibe on it, though. I will say that. As I call to the collective pantheons of the divine to please bless the Sagittarian collective, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs, and cross-watchers watching this video, receiving this reading about the path of true love, that the one with the beggar archetype confronts empowerment at the level of physical survival, awakening the spiritual authority of humility, compassion, and self-esteem, while the one who crosses their path, either way this goes, the student, embraces their humility and a devotion to knowledge, getting to know each other, with an openness to lifelong learning, as the beggar really reevaluates hardcore life values, bedrock stuff, fertility, including their own estimation of themselves. And while the student comes into alignment, ready to manifest, ready to take something from inspiration into materialization. But they're both, whether they're aware of it or not, the dreamers right now. They're tuning, but they are on the edge of a whole new cycle about to begin. And the student with the witch card, the magician card, is probably a step already into that. But behind one of them or both of them, there has been some wandering, some defensiveness, which is important in the world, right? But they're almost there. They're almost, right, to that sun over the horizon, where here they are now at the cliff, right? So that's where they were. This is where they are. So, of course, an internal evaluation of what's important to them, where their ultimate loyalties lie, their priorities, their evaluation that's going on here, but with great wisdom already in play. So, of course, chains are going to be revealed, fears, shadows, things to be dealt with, chains that bind, lies, illusions, deceptions, delusions, in terms of belief systems that the world has perhaps believed since Og hit Grog with a club back in the Cenozoic era. That's probably the wrong era, don't cancel me. And of course, the lesson is to deal with that. To deal with that, to have that shook, to really have your internal foundation shook. Not a nervous breakdown. It's only a 5. It's a temporary, right? No, a real shaking up, a real bringing forth the wisdom, and perhaps releasing cellular memories and trauma that they learn from. And that is obvious here, that this is a real knowledge plus experience equals wisdom situation. It's got to be, you got to feel it to heal it and deal with that. And with that high priestess, where they are on the path in terms of their destiny, there is guidance, there is grace. But what is a priest or a priestess but a vessel through which the divine works? So to get still, to get silent, to go into prayer, to open ourselves to guidance and grace, which leads them to this emotional balance inside of themselves with great compassion, most likely for themselves and for each other. And that this beggar can take a chance on love when they start to love, particularly themselves, in a new way, in a deeper way. Their lives are changed forever. And for the student here, getting to know each other, perhaps creating a plan here to do just that, learning to meet another's need for love is important for this relationship to grow. Even if they've known each other their whole lives, there's always a new cliff, a new Fool card, so that they can both integrate the ego here, because everything is for them, not against them. And it's okay for them to feel like it's happening against them, that it's happening to them instead of for them, because that's the conditioning. That's what it looks like on the outside. But that they can get that the path of true love is all about love. And they're removing the excess marble from the statue. Right, the divine creation that was always in there, little by little. Some days it's a big chunk that comes off. Sometimes it's a little fine chiseling, sandpapering to get a smoother finish. But may they be blessed with all that they need on the path of true love, that they may both heal, grow, learn, integrate the ego, be the best that they can be, and anchor more true love, regardless of the form that this relationship takes, for their well-being and for the well-being of all. So may it be. So it is. There you go. Saggies. Intense. Did you like it? Like it. Hope the other Saggies find it. Consider it a public service, right? You want more of me? Hit that subscription button, right? Subscribe, because I'm not stopping anytime soon. And hit the notification bell, because I'm putting these out. They are meant to go out. I'm not pushing myself too hard anymore like I was. Why? Because now I'm over on Patreon. Patreon.com/drawingthecircle. Come check it out. And if you want to book me for a private read, there's a link in the description box called Booking a Reading with Mal. Explains everything. And people who watch it go, oh my God, that was such a fun video. And so let's do this. And we're ready to rock and roll. And I live alone and I work from home, so I can juggle my schedule. So thank you so much for watching, my beloved Sagittariuses. Good luck with this. And if you feel like, comment. What is the form of this relationship? Is this parent-child? Is this friend-friend? Is this lover? Is this worker? Is this boss? Let me know. Because inquiring minds do want to know. Hail. Farewell. And blessed be.